I'm Thomas the Hermit. I am a lay hermit, a man of prayer, and I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about prayer and other things that are important to me that are happening in the Catholic Church. And I also talk about my lifestyle as a lay hermit. Now this topic is forwarding a topic that I took off of from Teresa of Avila, where she said that the soul is like a diamond, meaning that God made us in His image and likeness. Well, I have no problem with that, but what I want to bring up is the culture of narcissism. Okay, how this culture came about. I grew up and saw the developmental aspects of the culture of narcissism. I saw how it came about, so I want to kind of describe that to people so they'll understand how psychology has kind of helped to create the situation that our culture is in now, this narcissistic culture, okay? When I deal with young people today, I see a even heightened self-centeredness that's even greater than previous generations. It's greater than the so-called me generation. This idea of self-love has completely inundated our cultures. Now, it isn't really self-love, and that's kind of why we have a problem. If you look at the politics of today, they're all about what can I get. Now, of course, there's always been people that have been doing that, but never has it been on a complete across-the-board scale. Okay, identity politics, you know, I'm this color, I'm this gender, I'm this socioeconomic class, I'm this, I'm that. No one is concerned about the good for everybody. Everybody's only concerned about themselves, okay? Now, who started all this? Well, this started at the advent of modern psychology. This started with Carl Jung and Freud, and kind of the discovery that people needed to love themselves deep down inside if they were to be healthy individuals. Now, as I put out an earlier video about the dilemma of self-love, you can't look in a mirror and make yourself love yourself. You either have received it from your parents or you have a terrible lack and you're looking to receive it from other people. Maybe they might step up. Usually they don't. And our last spinal source, of course, in that video I covered is God. So most people who do not have a healthy self-love and are trying to create it are creating a mess. Now this started with Carl Jung. Carl Jung was very, very excellent at sharing these ideas and putting them out there. And then what happened is the pop psychology movement got a hold of it. So I'm going to create or write a book about how you need to love yourself so I can sell 1 million copies or whatever. And this hit big in the 70s. I saw it hit in the 70s. Shortly after that, we saw it infiltrate into the school systems. It has become a regular part of every school teacher's mouth to put upon their kids that they need to love themselves. And as true as it is, I keep talking about the dilemma. You can't do it. So what happened instead? Well, instead of creating people who love themselves, they created self-centered people. Now, we've always had self-centered people, but now we are manufacturing them. We are creating them through this false conception, this false idea. Now again, loving yourself deep down is not a false idea. But the fact is that you cannot engender it if you didn't receive it. You know, you can only have healthy self-love if someone loves you. Now, where I first heard about this was actually in the 70s by a therapist who was ahead of his time. And he wrote a book called The Psychology of Religion, The Cult of Self-Worship. And his name is Paul Vitz. And anyone who wants to understand more in depth this thing about religion becoming, psychology becoming an actual religion or a cult of self-worship, needs to check out Paul Vitz's book, Psychology as Religion, The Cult of Self-Worship. That's where I first learned about this, but I also learned it by my own experience, which I keep trying to share. I tried to love myself. I looked in the mirror and said, "Ooh, you're the most wonderful thing in the world." I did those self-centered things, and they didn't help me. It wasn't till Jesus poured out his love upon me that my self-love in the depths of myself changed. This is Thomas the Hermit. Say a prayer for me. I am praying for you. I'll talk to you later.